I don't know about all of you, but it's felt like the longest off-season to date. But not to worry, I have some good news. When the sun goes down, the Friday night lights are flipping on. High school football is finally back, and tonight we got a lot of rivalry games in store. And it's all coming up next on Gridiron Glory!
Let's get week one started. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. And tonight we have the first highlights of the year for you. We got to look at a few of last season's conference powerhouses. And we've crowned our first fan of the week in the Plains to see Athens take on the Warren Warriors. But to kick off the show, the reigning Scioto Valley Conference champs got back on the gridiron. Last year, Zane Trace's undefeated season started with a 34-28 overtime win over Logan Elm. Week one pitted the Pioneers against the Braves once again. Our very own Justin Holbrook was there to see the rematch. So, Justin, did it have the same suspense as last year?
Well, Danny, it was going to be hard to repeat last year's overtime battle. Both teams lost a lot of key players to graduation, but one thing is for sure. Zane Trace and Logan Elm were ready to get the 2016 season started. And here you see quarterback Austin Harris smacking his chest, getting ready to lead this team out, and they were pumped to come back from their undefeated season last year. But it would be Logan Elm's quarterback, Logan Holbert, who made the first big statement. Here you see him take it up the left side, zips past the whole defense, and he gone 73 yards all the way to the end zone. He puts his team up 7-3. Now Austin Harris of Zane Trace had a chance to redeem himself, and he comes back, scrambles out to the left, but he loses the ball. Logan Elm falls on top of it, and this came one play before. He almost got picked off. And once again, a chance to redeem himself. Here you see him scrambling out to the left side, and he finally makes it happen. He goes out there for 35 yards, pushing Zane Trace into red zone territory for the second time, and that set them up for their second field goal attempt of the game. But this one would go wide right, and Zane Trace would remain down 7-3. Now Logan Elm had their own chance at a field goal, and they missed it as well, so it was 7-3 at the end of the first half. And Harris, he was ready to wipe the first half clean, and he passes, he's getting ready for that second half, and he was there to make a statement. Here you see midway through the third quarter, he plows over number 2 on Logan Elm. He's pumped. He wants to get his team in the end zone. And just a few plays later, he scrambles to the left, nothing happening. So he makes it work on his feet, and he takes it into the end zone. 10-7 was the end of the score at the third quarter.
So like you just said, that was the score at the end of the third quarter, but that was far from the final score. So what happened in that fourth quarter?
Danny, I wish we would have stayed for the fourth quarter because it was crazy. Zane Trace kept the pressure on Logan Elm's defense and struck again in the fourth. Austin Harris connected with Darby Pillow for a 30-yard pass that took the Pioneers all the way to the 1-yard line, where Harris punched in the end zone, putting his team up 17-7. But Logan Elm came right back. Holbert handed it off to his running back, Wagner, who got stopped at the line, so he pitched it back to Holbert, who ran it in for the touchdown to put the Braves within 3. And it was a battle of two athletes who were more than just quarterbacks tonight, because Austin Harris returned the ensuing kickoff 85 yards for the touchdown to give Zane Trace a 24-14 lead with just 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the third quarter.
Man, those two players could not be stopped tonight.
Well, it's true, but it didn't end there. Holbert came right back and threw a 36-yard touchdown to Jacob Shoemaker, and the Braves missed the extra point, making it 24-20. Now here's where it gets crazy. Zane Trace went 3 and out, and Logan Elm put together a final drive that ended with one chance in the end zone, and guess what? Holbert connected with Terry Willison on a 27-yard Hail Mary as time expired to give Logan Elm the 26-24 win over Zane Trace.
Zane Trace almost had this one. How did the Pioneers let this one slip away?
Danny, it was really a combination of things. For starters, the Pioneers just didn't take care of the ball. They had a near interception in the second quarter, followed by that fumble that you saw. And to start the third quarter, they had another interception, and that really just stalled the offense. The second biggest thing was that Austin Harris didn't have any help on offense. Aside from him, they had no running threat, as you can see from the stats here. And if they're going to be successful this season, they're going to need more than just Harris to be a big player for this team.
Yeah, we'll definitely need to see some other players step up. Great work, Justin. If you aren't following us on social media, you should log on right now so you won't miss anything. Live tweets from games, behind-the-scenes Snapchats, and more to keep you constantly entertained. Twitter is the best way to reach out to us, and we want to hear from you. Also, use that hashtag GG16 to interact with our crew and express your right to vote. Every week, you can choose the teams you think will come out on top in our Twitter polls. This week, 73% of our fans who voted favored the Bulldogs to overcome the Warriors. Before we get to more of tonight's games, let's rewind to last night. Maysville got their season rolling when they hosted Crooksville for the fourth and final Thursday night opener between the rivals. NBL reporter Connor Martin was there the entire game for this matchup, and it's always an exciting one, Connor.
That's right, Danny. And after being trumped by Maysville 45-15 to start the season last year, the Ceramics were vying for revenge, with plans of taming the Panthers in last night's game. And at the beginning, things seemed to be going Crooksville's way. They forced Maysville into a 3-and-out on their first possession and followed that up with a 49-yard run by quarterback Landon Hinkle. That run set up a 28-yard field goal to give the Ceramics an early 3-0 lead. Though that lead quickly vanished as Evan Brown hauls in that pass from Connor Sidewell and gallops 36 yards into the end zone to end the first quarter. But Maysville was not done yet. As the Panthers scored on their very next drive, Sidwell finds Carson Jarrett wide open on the flat on 4th and 1, who takes it to the 40-yard score. The Panthers looked to deliver the dagger early in the game, an interception on Crooksville's very next drive, but could do nothing with the great field possession, and had to settle with a 14-3 lead heading into the locker room. The Panthers were on the prowl to start the third quarter, utilizing their hurry-up offense to march down the field, capping off the drive with Evan Brown trying to take the edge, but instead, he decides to play hot potato. The ball bounces into the air, right into the claws of Carson Jarrett, who then extends the lead to 21-3. Brody Williams did his best to get some life back into his team as he reverses field and sprints down the sideline for a 74-yard score. However, on Maysville's very first play on their next drive, Caden Ashcroft says, "Hey, anything you can do, I can do better," and roars down the field for a 77-yard run to put the Panthers up 28-9, ending the third. Crooksville had a couple of chances to come back into the fourth, but they could not capitalize on any of those opportunities, with the Panthers taking this one 35-23 in front of their home crowd.
Wow, what a way to start off the season for the Panthers after a lot of people really thought that they'd take a step back after losing so many players like Chase Roberts.
Well, Danny, it's obvious that no one player could step up and fill that void. But Coach Clark understood that more than anyone, he implemented a running back committee approach with over 6 kids taking part in carrying the rock. Whether it was the big 6-foot, 220-pound fullback Caden Mercer pounding it up the middle, or the quick Jared Carson attacking the sidelines, there were plenty of fresh bodies in the backfield. I mean, quarterback Connor Sidwell even got in on the action.
Speaking of Sidwell, how did the young quarterback fare in his first start of his career?
You know, Danny, Connor had a very unique night for his first start behind center. He started off the night with 4 incompletions and ended the game only completing 3 of 9 passes. However, with all that said, his 3 completions went all for touchdowns. But anytime you get to end the game in a victory formation, you must be doing something right.
Yeah, no one can question that, but what does Crooksville have to look forward to?
Honestly, they should keep their heads up high. After this tough loss, they played Maysville extremely hard and should use this to propel them through the rest of their season. Though, one thing may spike some concern is star running back Chaz Love. Love left the game early in the fourth quarter and he did not return, but he was seen later with ice on his knee. There's been no confirmation on his injury or a timetable for his return, but when we know, you'll know. And as you can see here, both teams favored the run in this game, using the option to get multiple players involved in the offense. When these teams did throw the ball, Crooksville stayed with short, quick receiver screens, while Maysville only completed 3 passes. But like I said earlier, those 3 passes went for 153 yards and 3 touchdowns, according to the Maysville stat book.
Great work, Connor. Thanks a lot. This time of year, football never stops. So why should we? Why should we stop giving you content? Check out our website. It's all football all the time. During the week, we have game previews and conference power rankings. Just head over to woub.org/gridiron, where you'll find articles featuring online host Eric Dreet. He's bringing you all you need to know to get you ready for Friday nights. And after finishing in the middle of the Hawking last year, Miller and Waterford are looking to climb to the top of the conference this season. Tonight, Joseph Payton was there to see the Falcons take on the Wildcats.
Danny, you know these teams know the importance of a win in week Miller won the game last year 21-19 and helped them start the year 4-0. But could they replicate that same exact magic tonight? Well, you know what? Let's get it going. Let's find out. Miller comes out of the locker room pretty excited. They end up going 3 and out on their opening drive. Waterford, they get their offense going early. Here's Isaac Huffman. Wyatt Lang makes the catch. Now here's Miller coming out of the locker room. As I said, they came out of the locker room pretty hot, but the team didn't play well at first. Waterford gets it going here. This is the Wyatt Lang. He scores on the very next play. They're up 8-0. Now, Miller tries to answer Waterford's quick first-half score on the 10-yard line now, but the pass is tipped and picked off by Ty McGraw. That's going 90 yards to the house, only the back of his jersey there. And, hey, who needs a kicker? They go for 2. Tyler McCutcheon punches it in. It's 16-0 Wildcats early in the first. Now, same score, 8:23 to play in the second quarter. Miller's Cole Garrett airs this one deep. Carson Starlin makes a catch, and he's all by himself. That's a 70-yard touchdown. Miller can't convert the 2-point conversion, though, so it's 16-6. Waterford, they get the ball right back. They say, hey, guess what? We can do a little bit of that, too. 3rd and 11. Huffman connects with Wyatt Lang again. Nice gain of 20 there. Wildcats are driving. Jump ahead 4 plays, and here he is. The 4-year veteran quarterback, Isaac Huffman, follows his blockers, takes this one around the end for 26 yards, into the end zone for 6. And Waterford isn't kicking it. They go for 2 for the 3rd time here, and they call Huffman's name once again. He heads straight to the pylon. They head into the locker room, 24-6 lead at the half. They win this game 37-6.
Solid win for them, Joseph, but how was Waterford able to just take over this game?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Waterford, they started the first possession of the game. They forced Miller to go 3 and out. Then a quick 6-play drive put them on the board, and that set the tone for the rest of the game. So with the exception of a few plays here and there, Waterford's defense was pretty stout all night long. Miller tried to get their running game going early, but it just wasn't happening for him. Waterford's defensive line was very dominant in shutting down the running game, getting into the backfield, causing problems any way that they could. And if Miller did get through the line, guess what? There were 3 Wildcat linebackers waiting right there to make a play. So, the running game is a big part of Miller's game and really in high school football in general. So if you can't get that going, it's going to be hard to get into any offensive rhythm. And not only that, but even when Miller did get things going, they shot themselves in the foot. Miller turned the ball over twice inside the 10-yard line. Those turnovers completely changed the complexion of this game. One of them, as I mentioned, was a 95-yard pick 6 when Miller was down just 8-0. So you go from a potential tying the game to going down 2 scores, and that's a real momentum swinger. And when Waterford scores, they make you pay. On all 3 of their first half touchdowns, they went for 2 and converted all 3 of them. When a team puts the ball in the end zone and then turns around and crosses the goal line one more time for 2 extra points, it almost adds insult to injury. And, that's just part of Waterford's game. When you have a guy like Isaac Huffman in his 4th year at quarterback, you put the ball in his hands and you let him make plays. That's exactly what happened tonight. Huffman with 3 first-half touchdowns, such a big game for him. And guess what? Waterford Wildcats are 1-0. They're back at home next week hosting Wahama. Miller will look to bounce back and get in the win column as they travel to Eastern next Friday. And Danny, the atmosphere was great. Football season's back. It's here. It's got to be the best time of the year.
It's definitely the best time of the year. Great work, Joseph. Your online host, Eric Threet, he's coming up next. But when it comes to football, it's easy to focus on the flashy skill positions. But really, everybody knows a game is either won or lost in the trenches. And that's why we came up with a new award called the Gridiron Glory Lineman of the Year. The title is reserved for the outstanding offensive and defensive linemen and those bruising linebackers. The big guys who put it all on the line and take the pressure off the rest of the team. Later on in the season, we will announce our watch list, so keep an eye out for that on the web to see who made the cut. And your online host, Eric Threet, he's been up to something on Twitter. All week he requested pictures of players in their game day gear. And Eric, I'll admit it, you have a little style, so let's get this round of Threet's Three started. Who do you think has the best uniform?
Oh, you got jokes, Danny Dean. You know I have style, but it's okay because it's a special day. Football is back, and because I missed it so much, I'm going to have 2 Threet's Threes. We're going to talk about whose jersey has the most flavor. I know I represent my home state of Maryland well with my crispiness, but I want to see what y'all Ohioans were all about. I know that y'all have some style, and I want to show y'all what I got.
I mean, Eric, you've been around Ohio long enough. You know it's all about sports here.
So I got you. We're going to talk about defense. Defense really does win championships, as we saw with the Denver Broncos last year. So we have to talk about who presents the most problems for opposing offenses. But let's start with who looks the best. At number 3, the New Lex Panthers. I appreciate the pop of that jersey. The orange on the black, it looks real smooth, but they forgot about the brand coordination. They have a whole bunch of different brands, and they forgot to include everybody. Look at number 85 back there in the corner. He looks so sad. His saltiness hurts my soul. But it's okay, because y'all come away with the bronze medal. Number 1 and 2 were tough. And number 2, I have the Jackson Ironman. That jersey's crispy. Now, white typically doesn't pop, but this outfit is very well put together. I like the smaller letters. I also like the shoes. The only problem is they aren't Under Armour. They got Under Armour jerseys, they gotta match everything. And that's the difference. That's why they are not number 1. And who's number 1? The Miller Falcons. 1, they included everybody. 2, they're showing all Nike in the picture. I don't know if they have Nike shoes, but it's okay. They took a whole photo shoot for me. They wanted it. I couldn't forget about them, you know? So they slid in there, and purple is my favorite color as well. What do you think, Danny? I think I got it down pat.
I think I really liked your choices. Purple is one of my favorite colors too. So.
Oh yeah, but one thing I do like more than the color purple is hitting. So let's go to the top defenses. Number 3, we got Zane Trace. Last season, they allowed just over 10 points per game, and they had 8 straight games of allowing 8 points or less. But today they suffered their first loss of the season. And it's probably because they lost 6 of their top 7 leading tacklers, as well as all but 1 member of their secondary. However, that one stud, Aiden Place, he returns. He led the Scioto Valley Conference in sacks last season, and with a coach like Dwayne Hall, you never know, they may make the playoffs again. And number 2 for the second straight 3-3 are the Jackson Ironmen. Ironmen are ball hunters. 11 helmets on the football all the time. They only have 2 returning defensive starters though. But like all the other teams on this list, Jackson, they have 2015 Gridiron Glory Coach of the Year candidate, Andy Hall. And his defenses are known to be tough, known to be physical, known to win football games. But topping my list, the TriValley Scotties. They allow 7 points today, 4.6 points per game last season, you know, nothing too serious. And to make things better, Cody Collins, Bryce Farmer, and Greg Noder are all returning at linebacker. Being able to stop the run will be crucial when trying to win the NVL this year. And of course, on the sideline for his 10th straight year, Coach Buttermore looking for his 6th NVL title. That's all I got for you, Danny Dean.
Thanks, Eric. Already excited for next week. And we have something new for our fans. Our crew is starting up Gridiron Glory newsletter. Every Monday, you can get all info about your favorite team sent directly to your email. To subscribe, email us at gridiron@woub.org to get on the weekly list. We're going to post our first newsletter on social media so everyone can get a better idea of what you need. Tonight, in the NVL action, the Sheridan Generals hosted a non-league rival when the Granville Blue Aces came to town. NVL reporter Megan Stamper was there. And Megan, did it look like Sheridan will still be a top competitor in the NVL?
Danny, Sheridan came out guns blazing in their non-league rivalry game against Granville. When I talked to some of the players at Media Day, they mentioned that this game was one of the ones they were the most excited for this season, and it definitely showed early on. And the Sheridan student section was pumped up for this game, and why not? Football's back. We're all excited, and they had reason to be excited early on. Sheridan was driving down the field, but they were on 4th and 3 here, and they handed off to Luke Rydnor, and he gets the first down to keep that drive alive to set up this touchdown right here by Mike Grittner. The pass from Dylan Dupler is good down the left sideline, and Sheridan went up early 7-0 over the Blue Aces. And Granville would get the ball back for their second offensive possession, but Sheridan had other plans than to let them go down the field on them. He rolls left, but the ball bounces off the hands and into the hands of the Generals. He returned that for a touchdown, 14-0 Generals. So Granville gets the ball back again, but they just cannot catch a break. They fumbled the ball here, recovered by Jarrett Munyon, who was doing it all for the Generals tonight. He also had a kickoff return for a touchdown later on in the game. But Granville wasn't going to let Sheridan have all the fun. They get a touchdown here. Number 4 runs it in, and Sheridan is up 14-7 at this point, and they went on to lead 21-7 at the half.
So the Generals, they were finally able to settle into their new defensive scheme, but how did they look offensively?
You know, offensively, they looked just as efficient as I thought they would. Dylan Dupler, he's a third-year starter. He looked like I knew he would. He was calm under pressure in the pocket, making smart decisions. And running back Luke Rydnor, you know, he had a really good game as well. He was pounding up the middle of the field, and he was able to get those yards after contact, which was a big reason that the Generals were able to put up so many points.
Mm-hmm. And as you said earlier, I mean, they came out with their great defensive scheme and everything else. But what else did you take away about how Sheridan is going to be such a powerhouse for the MVL?
Well, I want to talk about that defensive scheme because they're starting with a new defensive scheme this year, the 5-2-4 format, which a lot of teams don't run, but because they are so short on linebackers this season, they had to kind of play around, and they're under new head coach Paul Culver Jr., or the Paul Culver III, excuse me. So he decided to mix things up. You know, it really worked. The 5 linemen were really able to pressure the quarterback and make him make stupid decisions. But it was when the Aces were able to get past those linemen and to the linebackers when they were able to run down the field and get some yardage on Sheridan.
I can't wait to see what else Sheridan will be doing. Great work, Megan. In September 2014, that was the last time that the Warren Warriors got a win on their record. But this year the Warriors are led by new head coach Tim Carver, and they stormed into Athens to end their losing ways. But the Bulldogs and their barking fans were determined to protect their turf. They made for a rowdy fan of the week.
All right, everybody, we are out here looking for our first fan of the week. You're clearly here supporting the Warriors, so show us a little bit of that Warren pride. All right, we got our finished product right here, homemade with these amazing people back here, some great Bulldogs fans. How you feeling about tonight?
I'm feeling great.
Feeling great. Who's winning?
Us.
What's the score going to be, though?
21-14.
Go Bulldogs! Yeah!
We drove 4 hours to see my grandson.
So, guys, who's going to win tonight?
Obviously. What do you mean? What kind of question is that?
It's been a wild night in Athens, but I had to give our fan of the week to Lisa Brown. She came all the way from Toledo to watch her grandson play tonight. Congratulations, Lisa. What do you have to say?
Go Bulldogs!
Yay!
It's always fun meeting the crazy fans in our coverage, but a game I've been looking forward to all week long is the Athens season opener against the Warren Warriors.
Mentally prepared.
Everyone's really focused on the same goal.
Your team needs you.
The Warren Warriors have lost to Athens for the past 3 years in a row, and reporter Josh Gregory was in Bulldog country tonight to see if Athens could do it again.
That's right, Danny. And in those past 3 years, Athens has only allowed Warren to score twice. So coming into this game, the Bulldogs already had 2 advantages, the momentum and the home field advantage. That plays a big role in these season openers. And it was National Dog Day today, and so I think that might have given Athens, the Bulldogs, some extra motivation in this one, because on the first play of his first ever game as varsity quarterback, Trace Albin connects with Rob Dickelman there. He's taking it up the sideline, 60 yards to the red zone. That drive would stall, but Albin, he gets a second chance at it. He finds Dickelman again, but this time he doesn't miss the end zone, 27 yards out, and Athens will go up 7-0 early in the first. And after another Warren three and out, Albin, he connects with former quarterback Brendan Sano here for his second out of 3 touchdown passes on the night. Athens sitting comfy with 4 minutes left in the first. Warren, they can't get anything going on offense. They couldn't even find their first down until well into the second quarter. Another huge sack right there. And after another Athens touchdown, Warren, they try again on offense, this time through the air. Hill launching a huge pass, but cornerback Nate Grill says, no, man, not today. And the second quarter was the same story. Albin behind a strong O-line, allowing him to make big plays like connecting with Andy Cristóbal in the end zone, sending them into the locker rooms, 27-0. And that just wrapped up a huge season opener for them. 41-0 was your final tonight, Danny.
Wow, well, it's safe to say that the Athens-Warren rivalry is looking like it always has. with Athens being the dominant Bulldogs with the win. So Josh, this is a whole new Athens team. How were they able to control this game?
Well, Danny, it's plain and simple. Trace Albin. Though it was his first ever varsity game, he totally controlled this offense, and he looked like a complete natural doing it. He made very few mistakes, both in passing and rushing attacks, and he was 10 for 13 in passing for 181 yards. And his main man, Rob Dickelman, he caught 3 of those passes for 108 yards. Those two have already started building that crucial quarterback-receiver connection. Albin also averaged 5 yards on 6 carries, so it's safe to say that the first game jitters didn't really get the best of him.
Wow, what a start to his high school career, but I'm interested in the line he's playing behind. 4 out of 5 guys who've started the last 2 years.
Well, I think they are half the reason Albin was able to play so well tonight. They gave him lots of time to set up big plays and find that open man. Play in the trenches will be one of Athens' biggest advantages. And put that with Albin at the helm, you've got a dangerous offense, Danny.
No doubt this offense is off to a great start, but who's filling the shoes for Sakai Saltzman?
Well, running back Tyler Roback showed some promise carrying the rock. He racked up many crucial Bulldog first downs and averaged about 6 yards per carry. He is not quite at Saltzman's level yet, but he is a junior, so he has time to develop. He picked up 68 of Athens' 105 total rushing yards. And you've got to keep in mind that Athens' offense is a lot different than last year. Instead of relying on a single running back to get the job done, they're relying on the whole entire offense. The Bulldogs racked up 310 total offensive yards, and it was spread between Albin, Dickelman, and Roback. Warren was just outclassed in every element on the field. Their offense can only muster up 52 yards, along with a measly 2 first downs, and you can't expect to win a football game if you only move the ball halfway up the field. But in the end, I'd like to think that National Dog Day played a little role in their win tonight.
Thanks, Josh. Great work. And our first top plays of the night come to us from Miller and Waterford, and we can't leave without dishing these out to you. For number 1, the top play of the night, like I said, Miller-Waterford game, the Falcons in the red zone, but it's stopping there. The ball gets tipped, and Ty McGraw snatches it for the Wildcats, takes it nearly 90 yards down the sideline. Perfect pick 6. And moving on to number 2, we're looking at Sheridan versus Granville. The Generals set up a kick return, and it's Jarrett Munyon who gets free, and he really cannot be stopped. Goes all the way to the end zone. And number 1 on the list is from, he's still going. He's going and gone. I had to go back to that one because he is all the way in the end zone from there. Number 1 on the list from Maysville and Crooksville. Even Evan Brown getting the quick pass rush to the outside for the Panthers, but he's tackled, it pops out, and Carson Jarrett is right there to grab it, and he goes straight into the end zone. Now that you've seen the best that this week has to offer, it's time to jump and start thinking about what's coming up next. Here's what to expect in week 2. Number of teams came out tonight, and they set the tone for week 1, and we're starting to see who will get out there, and tonight we'll be able to show you on our full screen later on the web who will be covering. That's all we have for our show, but we didn't forget about Saturday's openers. We're heading out to Jackson and Wellston and NY and Trimble. Check us out on social media for all those, and I'm your host, Danny Dean, reminding you that there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.